Stillness and movement, how do they relate? Are the laws operational in movement the same as the laws operational in stillness? We know from our experience that they're not. So how do they work together? How do they work for us and in life? In a time long ago in Japan, there was a man who was taken out of the small locked room in which he was kept and led out into the courtyard of the temple, where he was to undergo the ritual execution. Those who led him out went about the preparations. They made him kneel before the shrine, which was paved with paving stones. They packed his body with sandbags, and they placed a large wooden block under his chin on which his head would rest so that it could be locked. And the tradition in those days was that executions were undertaken by a lord, a samurai lord, a swordsman. But it so happened on this particular occasion that there were no lowly lords, samurais, available. So it came upon one of the great teaching master samurais of the day to fulfill this task. Now when all the preparations were made, and he was firmly set, unable to move, only with the possibility of laying his head over the block, the samurai master came out into the courtyard and stood before him. The man looked up at him with hate, and he said to the samurai lord, "The things that I did because I was stupid. It was my karma to be born stupid. Now, nobody should be made to pay with their life because they're stupid. And I swear that I'm going to avenge my death. I'm going to come back and haunt you and take revenge." Well, the samurai master was standing there very calmly. He didn't seem to be perturbed at all by this tirade, and he spoke to the man rather gently, and he said, "You know, I know very well that it's possible for your spirit to return and wreak vengeance. But I ask you, so that we can quake in fear, will you prove to us that this is a possibility?" Well, the man to be executed just sat and listened, and the samurai master said, "We will be duly afraid if, when your head is severed, you bite that paving stone in front of you there." "I'll do it," he said. "I'll do it." So the samurai swordsman took out his sword and swish! 2 big spurts of blood came flying out of the severed head, and the severed head dropped to the side. But just as it had dropped to the side, it made a turn and went straight for the paving stone and got its teeth into the paving stone before it every one of those who were standing round in the courtyard were afraid. Afraid for what was going to happen. And, of course, we'll go into that in a moment, but in the immediacy of it, the samurai swordsman was not at all perturbed. He merely held out his sword, and as the ritual required, someone came over and poured water, and it was wiped off gently of the blood that had adhered to it. But in the days that followed, all those who were in attendance began to feel things that were happening, even when they didn't happen. They were imagining the vengeance that was being wreaked upon them for their part in this execution. And it got to such a state that everyone was in so much agitation about it that they decided that they would go and make a petition to the samurai master to undertake a special ritual which would clear the spirit and let them free. But when they went to see the samurai master, he said, "Nothing like that is necessary." And they were very perturbed, so he could see that they didn't understand. So he explained to them, when someone dies with a thought of vengeance in their mind, surely it is possible for them to come back and wreak havoc amongst the living. But in this instance, when it was asked of this man who was executed, could he bite the paving stone? That was his final thought. And the thought of vengeance had been forgotten. You have nothing to worry about. And nothing did happen after that. Stillness and movement. When we listen to this story, and we recognize the... Oh, I'm not going to go into explanations about it. You have to work it out for yourself. But you get it, don't you? Yes, you do. How does it work? How does it work? These laws that are operational in movement, that we know so well, the karma, the toing and froing, cause and effect, the ups and downs we know, the dimensionality of life, the unconscious, the dream, all of those things we know. The linear, the vertical, the spin, we know the rest of it. And insofar as stillness is concerned, we recognize that another set of laws are operational when we're still. How do they go together? How does this story give us a gleaning towards understanding of answering the question that's been